The Texas Rangers made a huge mistake, and it took them nearly 3 decades to fix it. This is Globe Life Field. The Rangers currently call this ballpark their home, and it has a strong case of being the biggest factor behind the franchise's World Series win in 2023. It sounds crazy, but it's not as far-fetched as you think. Prior to winning it all, the most welcome sight in the ball club's history was having shelter from the sun. That's something its predecessor couldn't offer the Rangers, which sits just a few steps away from their current home. Enter Choctaw Stadium, formerly known as the ballpark in Arlington. Despite its iconic status in Texas sports, the ballpark in Arlington faced a bitter fate after just 26 years of the Rangers calling it home. 26 years is an incredibly short lifespan for a ballpark. It was supposed to be a stadium built to last for generations, all while representing Texas pride and the spirit of baseball in the Lone Star State. The vintage ballpark, once tailored for big league baseball, has now evolved into an improvised facility catering to minor league football, Division III soccer, and rugby. But from the point of view of the Texas Rangers, there's only so long you can play at a location that's been referred to as the surface of the sun. Before getting into the nitty-gritty of the Rangers' early move out of their classic ballpark, a big shout out goes to all of Mapify's patrons for supporting this channel. And while you're here, be sure to visit Mapify's shop where you can find outfield wall t-shirts featuring your favorite baseball team. Head to Mapify.com to get started. And if you end up enjoying this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe as it goes a long way. To understand this short-lived ballpark's time with Major League Baseball, there needs to be some context provided. As soon as the franchise relocated to the Dallas-Fort Worth area from Washington, D.C., Rangers home games during the summer months were drastically affected by the heat and humidity that's common throughout that area of the United States. Up until the arrival of the Marlins in the early 90s, the Rangers' first home field, Arlington Stadium, had the reputation for being the hottest ballpark in the majors, which saw temperatures frequently topping 100 degrees Fahrenheit from June through August. That's right in the middle of baseball's regular season. To fight this heat, the team began playing many of their weekend games at night. However, it didn't make much of a difference with attendance, and it certainly didn't help that the team was out of contention for much of their first 2 decades. But oppressive seating conditions certainly didn't help. Similar to most ballparks at the time, Arlington Stadium began to show its age, so the Rangers made the upgrade to the ballpark in Arlington, a stunning stadium that was meant for baseball. Except there was one problem: it also had an open-air design. But hold on. How did it get to this point? Surely there's enough planning involved when considering the longevity of an open-air stadium, especially if it sits in a hot and humid climate like Texas. This ballpark was doomed from the very start, and it's partially due to awkward timing. By the time the Rangers built their new home field in the 90s, Major League Baseball was in the middle of a transition towards new and innovative stadiums across the country. This was all part of the sport's transition away from multi-purpose stadiums that were commonly shared between baseball and football teams. Between 1989 and 2004, an era of ballpark construction unfolded with 16 new venues in the span of 15 years. This period marked a significant shift in how ballparks were conceptualized, designed, and integrated into their respective metro centers. With this uptick in stadiums, 2 main design philosophies were considered by teams around the majors: retro classic and retro modern. Retro classic ballparks serve as bridges to baseball's history. These parks are distinguished by their asymmetrical field dimensions, reminiscent of ballparks of early 20th century baseball. The use of natural materials like brick and wrought iron, along with features such as manual scoreboards and natural grass, adds an authentic and historic feel. The design philosophy prioritizes intimate seating arrangements that bring spectators closer to the action. Some examples include Comerica Park in Detroit and Oracle Park in San Francisco. In contrast, retro modern ballparks seamlessly blend state-of-the-art technology and contemporary design with a nod to the past. These venues prioritize the spectator experience, offering modern amenities such as expansive HD video boards, a wide array of dining options, and spacious concourses designed to handle large crowds. Materials like glass and steel feature prominently, giving these parks a sleek and modern look, while high-tech enhancements aim to maximize fan engagement. Think of Nationals Park in DC and Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. So not only did the Rangers build a new home field, they joined an abundance of teams in following this trend of retro-style stadiums. While this was happening though, a brand new stadium feature emerged: the retractable roof. Between the time when the Rangers first planned for a new stadium in the late 80s, up until its opening in 1994, just one big league ballpark had a working retractable roof. That was the Rogers Centre in Toronto, which opened in 1989 and had a purpose that was beyond just baseball, so it needed to be used during the cold and snowy months of Canadian winter. At the time, adding a retractable roof was an extreme luxury, and from the perspective of those building a new ballpark in Texas, raising enough public funds in the local market would have been impossible if they wanted to incorporate this unique feature that was at this point uncommon. It was already enough trouble to get the $135 million to support the new stadium as is. Plus, certain members of the ownership group, which included former President George W. Bush, did not want the extra expense of a roof. So they kept the design as intended, making the ballpark in Arlington a throwback to the retro classic design ethos. The stadium featured natural grass, a white steel office building that wrapped around center field, along with the famous Greens Hill. As mentioned earlier though, its open-air design left a notorious legacy, leaving players and fans exposed to the excessive heat that took place during Texas summers. This oversight underscored the significance of utilizing retro design elements without the practical needs of modern sports facilities, particularly in extreme weather regions. Unfortunately for the Rangers though, the period following the unveiling of their new stadium saw the introduction of several ballparks featuring retractable roofs, with Chase Field in Phoenix, T-Mobile Park in Seattle, Houston's Minute Maid Park, Lone Depot Park in Miami, and Milwaukee's American Family Field. Subsequently, costs for such an addition went down, and considering the fact that Tampa Bay had a domed stadium in Tropicana Field, almost every single team that played in the Sun Belt had protection from the heat. The only exceptions were ball clubs in California who had help from the coast to keep cool, the Atlanta Braves who reside in a city that's not nearly as hot as the others, and lastly, the Texas Rangers, whose recently built stadium at the time did next to nothing in stopping fans and players from feeling the heat. So with Major League Baseball embracing the construction of retractable roof stadiums and climate-adaptive facilities, the decision by the Rangers to build an open-air ballpark appeared to be a bit premature. Still though, before the benefit of hindsight, the ballpark in Arlington was initially hailed a crown jewel of big league stadiums. It hosted the 1995 All-Star Game, and coincidence or not, the team improved as well. The Rangers made their first playoff appearance in 1996, and they did it again in 98 and 99. About a decade later, Texas won the American League pennant 2 years in a row, only to lose the World Series on both occasions. But despite the tough temperatures during these times, hitters adored the ballpark.
Fastball sent in the air to deep center field. To the track, jumps at the wall, it's on Greens Hill! Alex Rodriguez, his 52nd home run of the year!
In the early 2000s, the Rangers lured Alex Rodriguez away from the Seattle Mariners with a record-setting deal worth $252 million over 10 years. He won his first MVP award in a Ranger uniform in 2003, despite the team failing to get out of last place. A-Rod, fellow MVP winner Pudge Rodriguez, Juan Gonzalez, Rafael Palmeiro, Josh Hamilton, among other sluggers from the Rangers and visitors, found the ballpark in Arlington to their liking. Thanks to the humidity which helped carry fly balls further, combined with relatively short fences and swirling winds, it was one of baseball's most hitter-friendly ballparks. And as a result, the Rangers were constantly at the top of the leaderboards in home runs, which put on a show for the fans. On the other hand though, the hitter-friendly climate was seen as a detractor by starting pitchers who require stamina to perform well. In June 2015, Dodgers left-hander Brett Anderson, who was a native of nearby Midland, Texas, expressed his displeasure with a tweet he soon deleted. "No clue why you would ever want to pitch for the Rangers," he said. "The climate is beyond awful." The prominence of stadiums with retractable roofs prompted the local media to suggest alternatives to mitigate temperatures which occasionally exceeded 110 degrees. And although there were plenty of purists who wanted Texas baseball to be as authentic as possible, with no amount of perspiration being too much, the attendance figures in afternoon games continued to show otherwise. Those who couldn't find relief at the seats scattered for shade in the concourse. In July 2018, temperatures reached 108 degrees for an afternoon when local authorities told people to limit outdoor activities. Not only were fans and players suffering, but the stadium itself was feeling the effects of the climate. As the ballpark in Arlington became Ameriquest Field, then Rangers Ballpark, and finally Globe Life Park, the infrastructure was wearing out far more quickly relative to other parks of similar age. So in 2016, 22 years after its construction, the Rangers announced they would soon leave Globe Life Park for a new stadium with, you guessed it, a retractable roof and air conditioning. Local support for that switch wasn't universal though. While a climate-controlled facility offered a more comfortable environment, the construction extended existing taxes used to pay for the Dallas Cowboys Palace, AT&T Stadium. Nonetheless, approval for the park eventually passed despite the controversy. On September 29, 2019, the Rangers hosted its last home game against the New York Yankees. It was soon renovated to become Choctaw Stadium, the eventual home to North Texas SC of Major League Soccer Next Pro, the Arlington Renegades of the United Football League, and the Dallas Jackals of Major League Rugby. A long fly ball away, Globe Life Field received its finishing touches. At 240,000 square feet, it has the largest single-panel operable roof in the world, taking about 12 to 15 minutes to open or close. Even with the roof closed, the use of 223 lightweight and transparent cushions allows natural light to filter throughout the stadium. The dimensions pay homage to Rangers history. The distance of the fences includes a portion of retired numbers of notable seasons. 329 feet down the left field line for Hall of Famer Adrian Beltre, 334 feet in straightaway left field for Nolan Ryan, 372 in left field power alley to denote the inaugural 1972 club, 410 to left and right center for Michael Young, 407 to straightaway center for Hall of Famer Pudge Rodriguez, 374 to the right field power alley for the Rangers' first winning season in 1974, and 326 down the right field line for former manager Johnny Oates. But despite all of its historic and practical touches, the roof over Globe Life Field can't overcome the fact that from high above, it looks like there should have been a barbecue beneath it. And by the end of 2019, in a moment that seems too on point, a section of the roof caught fire during construction. This didn't delay the progress though. Another setback took place shortly after, one that was completely out of anyone's control. The COVID-19 pandemic pushed back the start of the 2020 Major League Baseball season, and therefore, the opening of the Rangers' new ballpark. But by the unique nature of the season, along with the protocol needed to get through it, the pandemic allowed the state-of-the-art facility to host the National League Championship Series, and later, the World Series between the Dodgers and Rays. It wasn't lost on Rangers fans that their star-crossed team didn't even play in the first World Series to be won at their new ballpark. 3 years later though, it hosted the Fall Classic again, only this time, the Rangers were there too. Whether it was thanks to the roof or not, the organization was able to build this championship-level roster around free agency. The signings of Corey Seager and Marcus Semien preceded the acquisitions of Jordan Montgomery and Jacob deGrom, as well as the hiring of three-time World Series winning manager Bruce Bochy. Any criticism their new home received from fans and media early on for lacking charm and appeal might have disappeared as the Rangers made their way into the 2023 postseason and eventually towards their first ever World Series crown. Quite often, success breeds such charm. Fans who begged for a championship baseball team and a chance to watch it without the fear of melting are getting the best of both worlds at Globe Life Field. Is the championship winning team all down to the improved facility, or coincidence at best? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.